Welcome to today's training. We do this team training every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and we go through different parts of the business model in terms of the components, as well as ways to help yourself with personal and professional development. We got some great training for you today, but first of all, we always like to review what we did last week. Last week, we had a great training on how to turn conversations into clients, not having some complex or unknown system, but actually a simple system that actually works. How to turn those conversations into clients, be systematic, and then be able to teach other people. That's on the channel. That was emailed out to you guys. It's also placed in the Facebook group. Today, what we're talking about is lead generation, which is the lifeblood of the business. Remember, if there's no leads, there's no business. And if there's no business, there's no income, there's no revenue, there's no growth, there's no real reason to stick around. So today's training is how to create conversations on demand, which is an extremely important skill set. If you can master the art of communication, and then you can also master things like time management, organization, basic stuff like that. But the real key is the art of communication, how to open, continue, and direct conversations. Your business will start to build. You teach other people how to do that, and your distribution starts to build. We need to, first of all, reset the mindset. So we need to understand and we need to teach our agents as they come in. You don't have a lead problem and you don't need more tools. You need basic stuff for your business to get going. What you really need is you have a approach that has targeting plus message problem. That's what the real key is. And when you have a target and a message problem, no one's really continuing through the cycles of communication to create a meaningful outcome. So when you have those in place and when you remove those problems, what you're going to see is a free flowing system. And then it's going to feel a lot better, a lot less stress. Leads are created, they're not found. And basically, what you're running them through is learning how to gain attention, learning how to take that attention into interest, and then manufacturing the action step from that interest. That's where things like the CRM, the go high level, and communication workflows and speed to lead and all the things that we talk about are extremely necessary and important because the quicker that you resolve a lead or create an outcome from that lead, the more meaningful those leads and outcomes are actually going to become. So let's go into what we're going to be knowing today. So by the time that we leave this training today, I want you guys to know who to talk to, where to find them, what to say, and how to get them to raise their hand. Because that's the most important thing. You don't want to roll around with a message that resonates with nobody, has nobody raise their hand, because then you're just out there with a blanketed message on a blanketed audience that really nobody is finding important enough to take the action step. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach how do we get people opening up their minds, opening up their eyes, their ears, everything to accept the information, then turn that information into a meaningful action step. There are four lead generation markets, and there's a lot of arguments inside our industry about what market is the best. What's the best market to go to? The answer is all of them. Because once again, like we've talked about so many times on our client side, we can't have a one-legged stool for retirement. If that one leg, something happens to it, we're in deep trouble. But also, a one-legged stool is not going to be really balanced for a long period of time. Same thing on lead generation. The more legs we have in the stool, the more spokes we have in the wheel, the better diversification we have in our lead generation, the easier it is to absorb a temporary or maybe a longer term deficiency in one of those versus having all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak. The warm market is one of those things, guys. And if you have like friends or family members, they have an image of you, especially if they're older friends or family members. They watch you grow up, right? So what you need to understand is when you are dealing with the warm market, what you're really asking for is some help, some advice, some constructive criticism, their opinions on what you're doing. Remember, however you get the information out in front of somebody, that's the key point because the real key is to get the information in front of people. So on friends, family, past contacts, hey, can you do me a favor? I value your opinion. Would you mind taking a look at this? These are people that you have relationships with, existing relationships with. So the strength part of this is the trust. They already trust you. They know you. So you can get them, like I said, if you remain mission based and have them look at something for the purpose of giving you feedback, constructive criticism, you value their opinion. The weakness is they have emotional hesitation at this point. So the warm market is something that can be, beneficial, especially for new agents starting out, because you can get some early wins. You get to practice on people that you already know, but you have to know how to get in front of those people. If you get in front of your warm market as a salesperson with things like products and services and contracts, it's not going to work. If you get in front of them, explaining, educating, asking for their help, that's going to work a lot better. It does not matter how the information gets in front of people. Just get the information out there, create a follow-up system, and that will create meaningful outcomes for you. Your other markets, the common market, and we really talked about this, and this is a way that you can go out and, kind of bridge or extend that warm market bubble, because these are people you have loose affiliations with. They don't know you necessarily. They might go to the same gym, kids' sports events, networking groups, whatever it might be. What is the loose affiliation that buys you the small interim period of time when you're starting that communication and conversation? Um, the strength here is natural conversations. Why? Hey, we're both members. We both graduated from, or we did that. That loose affiliation will combine and create a bridge that will allow you to introduce the information. What are you introducing? A lot of the same stuff from the warm market, because at this point, you want to get into why you're doing what you're doing and seeing if they know anybody. It's not directed necessarily at them. Do they know anybody that could benefit from this type of information, education, access to information, education, however you want to verbalize it? The weakness here is the lack of intentionality. Because we bridged it over with the loose affiliation. Now we need to create some intention. The intention is going to be having them buy into the mission of what we're trying to do, and identifying if there's anybody that they know that would benefit from that information or education. It's important that we get the communication flowing on a daily basis, because lack of contacts and lack of communication is going to be lack of cash flow. And that's going to feel like the walls are closing in. So how best do I get in front of the markets? And then we practice that and we get very good at doing that. And then it won't feel uncomfortable. It'll feel very uncomfortable at first. That's where the growth is. Once you start to do this a number of times, that leaves, that goes away, it becomes comfortable. So on the warm market and the common market, these are relationships or loose affiliations. Have them buy into the mission, ask for help, ask if there's other people they know that could benefit from what you're doing. Social media. Remember, social media, the strength here is scale. There's a lot of people out there on different platforms, depending on what one that you're actually concentrating on at any given time. The weakness here is there's also a lot of people on there. So there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction. You have to understand the platform that you're dealing with. Remember, Facebook is general interest scrolling. LinkedIn is a business platform. So don't think that you have to do all of these platforms. And once again, I'm going to say this over and over again. If you try to do everything without understanding one really well, then you're going to do a lot of work and get absolutely nothing in return. Study a little bit, understand the algorithm, understand the hacks of the algorithm, and just commit to getting better at one platform. When you do that, then you can scale out and do another platform. I'm not saying that you have to not post on anything else other than one, but give your business area concentration one platform to concentrate on over really a 4 to 6 month process. And then once you're there and you understand you're getting results from there, you can branch out into another platform. On the cold market can be an incredible market to go to. A lot of people look at this as a real frigid market. They don't want to touch the cold market, but it's the same thing. It's cold because you have no prior relationship. So these are just everybody else that doesn't fall into the other markets. And this can be extremely powerful because of one thing, volume. If you have a volume of things coming in, the top of your funnel, you can have a volume of things coming out the bottom of your funnel. If you have trickles coming in the top, you have trickles coming out the bottom. The weakness here is the low trust initially. So what we do is we try to build trust, rapport, and credibility online with some of the stuff that we do. Also in our approaches. Our approaches are very value-based. So what we're doing is asking them and encouraging them to do things like learn more how to get ahead, Learn more how to beat the banks. Learn more how to remove Uncle Sam. Learn more how to be your own bank. Learn more how to protect your income and your mortgage. So all of these things, when you're leading not with a sales message in the cold market, but a message to get ahead, backed with value-based propositions, you can turn the cold market into an incredible force of lead generation for yourself. But you have to know what the market is, how to approach it, and really how to design an approach that's based on your persona. Remember, your persona is who you're going after. What you're going to say to them is the message. Where you're finding them is your markets right here. So you can have the same persona, but maybe a little different message in the social media market than the cold market. And those are things that you can work with us on individual basis. But really, it's going to be things that you try and test, either works or it doesn't work. If it works, you continue doing it until it becomes stale. If it doesn't work, maybe you don't change everything, change a little bit of the wording. And these are the things that you go out. If you do this stuff on a consistent basis, you're going to be able to make data-driven decisions about your business versus like panic management, where I don't really know what's going on. Nothing's really happening. I'm just going to throw stuff against the wall. No, you test stuff, either works or it doesn't work. You win or you learn. All markets are important. You just need to know how to go about those individual markets. So you should be operating in all four markets simultaneously, not with the same approach, but definitely in all four markets simultaneously. If you can create leads from all four of those markets, then you're going to have a nice lead flow coming in, a diverse lead flow coming in. And once again, more markets, more leads, more outcomes, more revenue, more income, more growth for you. All right, let's move on to the persona creation because this is really the core of what you're trying to do. When you know who you're trying to go after, you know what you're going to say to them, the rest of it is just finding out where they are, either online or offline. And we're going to talk about that. But why the persona matters is if you're just going to do general messaging, it gets ignored. It has to be hyper personalized. And we're going to work on that as a team on an individual basis. But when you can hyper personalize content, such as emails and text and voice drops and AI, whatever it might be, then you're talking to the person as that person versus just trying to throw out blanketed messages. Really, what you need is specific messaging because that creates engagement. And the engagement creates conversation. The conversation, when done correctly, is going to create next action steps. You want to build three core personas, really. What are we doing here? Well, if you're concentrating on the family focused homeowner, this is really who you're looking for. And I'm not saying these are concrete ages with bookends. I'm saying these are the average ages, 35 to 50. What are they doing here? They're married, or they might be in a long-term relationship. They have kids, they're planning to have kids. Do you see they have a lot of responsibilities going on at this point? They have a lot of insurable interest, so to speak. They own a home, recently purchased, maybe refinance. Maybe they have one income earner. Maybe they have dual income earners. This is why it's important to get to know the situation and not just come out with a product the same way for every single person. This person is not thinking about themselves at this point. That's a great time and a place to get in front of them and talk about insurance and protection. They're thinking about everyone that's depending on them. You get in front of the right people at the right point in the life cycle with the right message, and that'll, help you out tremendously. Your primary pain points, the mortgage pressure, the protection gaps, the cash flow stress, the financial uncertainty. And these are all things that you can go over with them. These are all things that will reverberate in their particular situation. Their emotional drivers, protecting the inner circle that they've created, protecting the family, the spouse, the kids, keeping their home in the best and the worst times, reducing stress, feeling in control, and creating a better future for their kids. There's a lot in those five things that we can do to help them on the financial planning side. Their goals are aligned with what they really care about: stability and predictability, financial protection, worst case scenario covered, better use of money, more efficient use. People work in this country way harder, at least a lot of them do, for their money than their money works for them. So I say, hey, let's get your money working at least as hard as you do, because your goal of your money is to go out there and find friends and bring them back, right? Grow your money. Long-term wealth building, peace of mind. So if you are going after this persona, then you need to do a lot of research on this persona and then find out things like Where are they offline? Where are they online? What messages are going to resonate with this crowd? What's going to be the emotional trigger to make this kind of core persona take the next action step? You can make a lot of money in this persona right here. And you can also do a lot of good things because these are people at a point in the life cycle that need a lot of financial help to plan for the future, but also plan for the present and what could possibly happen tomorrow. And these are the things that you need to understand and you need to portray in your communication, your marketing, your communication. You help people just like them do ABC or avoid DEF. The debt stressed professional. These are people that are making decent money per month, but they're going nowhere. It's called spinning your wheels. And these are like maybe younger professionals, age 30 to 45. Remember, these are not exact concrete ages, but this is the general ages of the people that we deal with that are in this particular cycle. They're career focused. They're corporate, medical, legal, technology. Maybe they're salespeople. They're college educated. They often have advanced degrees. They're earning good income, but low perceived progress. So they're going and they're looking at, hey, I make this much per month, but I'm not really gaining any assets. I'm not really making any savings. What the heck is going on here? They may be single or they may be married. Often, if they are, it's a dual income household. On paper, they may look successful, but internally, they're starting to feel financially stuck. And hey, if we continue down this road, what do we think is going to happen? Their primary pain points are that education costs money, right? So student loan burdens, high income but low progress in terms of savings, asset, wealth creation, lifestyle creep. As people make more money, they take on more expenses. And over a period of time, that really starts to compound on top of each other. And really, the core of it all is a lack of financial strategy that puts them at the head of the table instead of something like the bank and their lenders and their creditors. The emotional drivers for them, what they really care about, gaining control over the situation and their money, getting out of debt faster. Hey, your total debt is eating up X percentage of your total income. What happens at this point is a lot of people become foot soldiers for the banks. We need to create a shorter distance to getting out of debt, saving them time and money, making their income work smarter, feeling like they're finally getting somewhere. Freedom from financial pressure. Stop feeling financial stuck. Remember, you don't have to be low income to feel financial pressure. In fact, a lot of high earners, when they have that much lifestyle creep and expenses and debt payments that they have to make every month, can be way more stressful than other situations. So the goals at this point and the emotional drivers, what they really care about, what's going to get them to take the next action step is getting rid of the debt faster, elimination, saving on interest, saving on time, freeing up that monthly cash flow, build real assets, not just pay bills, not just get by, not just survive, but thrive. That's what you want to teach this core persona here and create financial independence. So this is a great persona to go after, a little bit different from the first one, but a lot of the same stuff. We need our money working smarter and harder than it's currently working for us. And then pre-retiree, different type of person, different point in the life cycle. 50 to 65, either nearing retirement, getting ready to retire, or actually in some form of retirement. Maybe 0 to 10 years out, maybe even the early stages of retirement. They could be employed, semi-retired, or planning an exit, depending on what their situation is. This is where the assets come in. You have two parts of retirement, the accumulation of your assets and then the distribution of or the income on the other side. Where people normally mess up is if they accumulate, they don't know how to properly create an income foundation for themselves. And so they're at risk at a number of variables. People that have 401ks, IRAs, savings, home equity, they're often married. Sometimes they're empty nesters. The kids are already passed. Remember, on the first persona, the family focused, they already have the kids in the house. By this time, the kids are already gone. They've started their own lives. They've spent decades building. Now they're asking, is it enough? Will it last? Their primary pain points are, as it should be, market risk exposure. If you got a 401k and you're taking X amount out and the market's down 30 to 50%, you are definitely taking a standard or a hit to your standard of living. It's going to hurt. What you expected is now going to be a smaller percentage of that because you don't have the time to recover, and you're still taking money out of an asset that is down 30 to 50%. Tax uncertainty. Income uncertainty. That's the biggest thing. You have to build a pyramid of income, starting with a foundation. If you have enough income, then you will have a successful retirement. If it's income uncertainty and you're just rolling the dice, anything can happen. And longevity risk. That's basically, hey, I want my money to outlive me. Because if it doesn't, then you have to start making choices. And you see that, unfortunately, in today's society. So the emotional triggers over here, the goals are create guaranteed or predictable income, reduce exposure to market losses. Like right now, what's going on the world stage, right? It's a little bit uncertain. So we want to reduce the exposure to these macro geopolitical events, these macroeconomic events, concentrate on what we control, which are assets, what they're doing for us, what guarantees that we have. Improve tax efficiency in retirement, preserve or protect that principal, and maintain independence and lifestyle. So you can see how different people at different parts of the life cycle need different parts of our financial planning, but they all need something. Remember, they've spent decades building. Now they're asking, is it enough? Will it last? This is basically what you've got to map out, depending on who you want to talk to, what type of system strategy or solution you want to talk about, what product is embedded in there, who are they? What's their demographics? What's their identity? What are they dealing with? Challenges and pain points. When you find a pain point, it can't just be surface level. You got to dig in. Tell me more about that. What happens if you don't fix that? Things like that. What do they want? Their goals, their aspiration. Paint a picture down the road. Hey, what does it look like if we get these things done? Get them emotionally attached to the endpoint. What keeps them up at night? Fears, worries, or frustrations? These are the things that you have to map out for your persona. And these are the things that, will help create peace of mind, protecting what they built, understanding their goals, aspirations. And then on the other side, reducing exposure to losses, improving tax efficiency, maintaining the lifestyle. So who are they? What are they dealing with? What do they want? And what keeps them up at night? You build a framework or a persona around that. Use AI to do more studying. Find these people and just go out with the same message that's working over and over and over again until it gets stale. Where do you find your personas? Well, once you identify your persona and you talk about, the messages that you're creating, well, it depends. Family focus. They're going to be around kid stuff, right? Kids sports events, schools, churches, community events. If you got the right message to a parent at the right time in the life cycle, they're going to be interested, not interested in buying an insurance or a product or a service from you, but learning more about how to do something, make their kids' life better, protect the income, protect the mortgage, whatever it might be. Debt stress professional. Maybe they're earning enough, but they haven't really found a way to accelerate the other side. These are gyms, coffee shops, co-working spaces, network events. Remember, these are areas where you can get people offline. You want to straddle both sides, just like you want to be on four markets. You want to be getting leads online and offline. These people are, usually successful people or high net worth earners are going to be out. They're going to be doing stuff. And then pre-retirees, where are they? Golf courses, financial seminars, churches, local clubs. So you can find people offline. You can also find people online. Where are they online? Well, it depends. You could have local groups, you could have parenting groups, depending on what, um, person or persona you're looking for. I like LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn for two reasons. Number one, I can go out and actively use the algorithm and the search to connect with people that I want to connect with. And then number two is I can send them messages that are personalized, that relate to them, that invite them to do things and learn more. So whether you're looking on a platform like Facebook or whether you're looking for a platform like LinkedIn, understand the platform, understand the user, and understand how to get to the user in a meaningful way. And Instagram, if you're looking for the younger professionals, lifestyle-based targeting, find a platform, use it, understand it, study it, get better at it, and then move to another platform. Don't fall in the trap of being in everything, doing everything, and getting zero results. Don't just scroll, guys. Go where your person already is. And that's a key point of this training today is you're not just going out there randomly looking. You're going where your person already is. Where is your person already? Well, that's according to your persona and the research that you've done. If you do enough research on the persona, you will find where they are offline and online and start to find them in a way with a message, like I says, that moves them to action steps. Getting them to raise their hand, messages that make people raise their hand. It's not going to be to buy insurance, and it's not going to be to buy a retirement product. What doesn't work? Explaining the products, the long paragraphs. If you're putting stuff, especially online, it almost needs to be in like a text-like format because people have short attention spans, very short attention spans, and they're very distracted. So explaining the products start to sound like a BB going off in their head, just a bunch of rattling. Long paragraphs are going to lose them, and being salesy, people see right through that. The person's trying to sell me. People don't want to be sold. They love to buy. What does work is developing a pattern of identifying a problem, inviting some insight and curiosity, and then taking that curiosity to a call to action. Call to action is going to be basically learn more. There's some variations on that we're going to look at in just a second. But, this is the core message is a very short jab communication that you're going to use that catches their attention as that persona and leads them to the call to action. Whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's a webinar, masterclass, discovery call, grab a guide, whatever it is, jab communication, call to action. Most homeowners don't realize their mortgage become a financial burden overnight if something unexpected happens. Find out, learn more about how to make sure that never happens to you. Crazy how people can make good money and still feel stuck financially. Ever wondered how to get out of that trap? Learn more. The biggest risk in retirement isn't the market, it's taxes and running out of income. So you can see how different people, different personas, different life cycles, different issues and problems have different messages. And when you understand that and quit throwing just blanketed messages out to people about products, this business becomes a lot more easier and a lot more efficient for you to build production and distribution. Call to actions. So learn more is my favorite, but some variations of that is want info, curious, message me info. I can send you something if you want. The rule is don't push the information, create curiosity, right? If somebody's curious and learning more, they want more information, that is a good leading indicator. Why? Because if somebody's not curious, there's nothing you can do to create curiosity. But if somebody is curious after you've done your job on the front end with the jab communication, like I said, that's a good leading indicator that they want to learn more. They're interested in whatever it is that you're talking about on the front side, the system, solution, or strategy. So create curiosity, move them to meaningful action steps that aren't about sales, that are about learning more, getting more information, more education. And then all we have to do is create lead generation channels. And really what that means is like everything else that we do in our business for online strategies, it's just about being consistent. So content posting, educational, direct messaging, group engagement, short form video. This is all stuff that once you learn how to do it, it's really not that hard. It's just about the overcoming our initial objections of doing stuff that's uncomfortable. I don't want to be on camera, or so don't be on camera in the beginning. Grow into that. But whatever it is that you do, you don't want to be a secret agent. You don't want to be in the corner online where nobody is seeing your stuff or you're not engaging, you're not networking, you're not creating contacts because contacts equal contracts. And then on the other side, offline, networking, conversations, referrals, strategic partnerships. If you learn how to create personas and then outside of that direct, learn just how to network, just show interest to other people. What do they do? That's great. How long you've been doing it? What got you into it? Just like a blind date, ask questions. That hybrid strategy works best from an online to a conversation, offline, Zoom, close. Whatever it is, be systematic. So when somebody tells or asks you, hey, how do you do this? You got a specific answer in a system versus, well, I just randomly do whatever I think is necessary. That's not teachable. That's not duplicatable. That's not going to build distribution. And then the daily execution system, this is where it all comes into play because once you start to put this into a daily compounding factor, you can see really using a daily minimum standard. If you're opening 5 to 10 conversations, well, let's just use five. And let's say you're going 30 days a week. That's 150 conversations that you open over the course of 4 to 6 months. That's quite a few. Now, what do you need to do with those conversations? You need to learn how to follow up. Use automation, high tech and high touch, meaning you got some automation. You also want to insert yourself manually, and then you need to produce some pieces of content. few years ago, this would have been a very tough for you guys to do, and you would have complained about it. However, with AI, there's no need to do that. You need to go in, research your persona, what type of content do they want, create hyper-personalized content that's speaking to them, and then create calls to action to learn more, get more information, things like that. Weekly targets is if you're in the initial stages, is to book things on our calendar so we can help you, whether it's calls, appointments, and then we're going to show you how to qualify, disqualify, sort, and then on the right persona that's ready to move forward, how to generate referrals out of that. If you don't ask for referrals, the answer is always going to be no. If you ask for it in a meaningful way, pretty much that can create a whole new line of clients for you that you didn't have to go out and actively pay for or put in that sweat equity organically. You want to track everything you're doing. The conversation started, the responses, appointment set. Why? Because it's systematic. You can see, oh, I'm struggling in this area. It's really a breakdown from this action step to this action step. I wonder why that is. And then once you understand that and resolve that, then you have more free flowing outcomes happening. So what do we want to avoid? These are the common mistakes. We don't want to do what's not working. So we want to first identify what's not working only for the sake to just understand not to do it, talking too much. If you overwhelm the conversation, remember, people have very short attention spans. If you're overwhelming them with words and communication, they're going to shut down and they're just going to end that conversation as quickly as possible. Explaining too early. You don't need to explain anything. Your job is to create curiosity and move them to an action step. No clear call to action. This is a big mistake. If you're doing your job, you're getting better at everything you're doing, but you're not directing them to a call to action, people can't do what you don't ask them to do. So be clear in what you want them to do. If you want them to open the front door, make sure you're clear in saying, go open the front door. Not following up. Fortune is in the follow up. I know you've heard that cliche, but this can separate big earners from small earners, small distribution from nationwide distribution. So follow up. Why? Because that's a lead that you created. It's a lot easier to go ahead and follow up and resolve that for an outcome than it is to go create a new one. If you just get in the habit of just creating a bunch of leads with no follow up, you're going to find that not much is happening. It's stuck. Why? The bottleneck is you because you're not following up. That could be automation, that could be manual. The hybrid strategy of both works best. And then targeting everybody. I'm just going to go out with this one message. I'm just going to shove it down everybody's throat. It doesn't work. If you're talking to everyone, you're converting no one. So connecting the lead generation to the model, because this is extremely important. Remember, you're opening, continuing, and directing conversations. Your lead flows into a conversation. That conversation should have some type of diagnosis. Why is that? Because if you're asking questions, that question is exposing information. That information can lead us to understanding a problem they have. Then we can usher in a solution step or a solution and action step to becoming a client. Lead generation, guys, is just the front door. The model is what converts. Remember, if you have a retail store, just getting them on the front door is half the battle. What do you have for sale or what do you have to offer once they're in the store? And then the close and action steps for this week's training. So we have a challenge, and this is extremely important as well because we can't just tell our agents to go and learn stuff. They have to learn and implement. So if somebody's barely starting or trying to get traction here, pick two personas. Operate in a minimum of two markets minimum. Four is best, but you don't need to do everything at once. Grow into it because you don't want to do a bunch of stuff, feel overwhelmed, and then not want to do it. So start with a couple markets, build into the other, but start conversations daily. If you don't start conversations daily, you're never going to get through the learning curve and you're never going to have an opportunity to have enough at the top of the funnel to create enough outcomes to stick around. And then use curiosity-based messaging. And that's one of the most important things that you can learn is how to create curiosity to get the real qualified prospects to take the next action step. You don't need more leads. You need better conversations with the right people.